15,000 years ago, a man crawled on his belly through a tunnel so narrow he could barely breathe. No sunlight, no air. Just darkness for half a mile underground. And when he finally reached the end, he pulled out a stick of charcoal and started drawing. Not near the entrance, not somewhere easy, as deep and as dangerous as physically possible. Why would anyone risk their life to draw a bison in a place no one would ever comfortably see it? For over a century, this has been one of archaeology's most stubborn mysteries, and the real answer isn't one theory. It's at least 5, and every single one is stranger than you'd guess. So let's go back, all the way back, to the very first artists who ever lived, long before Lascaux, before Chauvet, before any famous cave you've heard of. In a cave called Blombos on the coast of South Africa, someone scratched a crosshatch pattern into a piece of ochre. That was 73,000 years ago, tens of thousands of years before modern humans painted a single bison. And here's the part that breaks the caveman stereotype completely. In 2018, scientists dated red hashtag-like marks on a cave wall in Spain to 64,000 years ago. Modern humans hadn't even reached Europe yet. Those marks were made by Neanderthals. Our supposedly less intelligent cousins were making art before we even showed up. So this wasn't a one-off. Making marks, making images. It's something almost impossibly old in us. But here's what actually puzzles researchers most. It's not that they painted. It's where they chose to do it. Caves were not homes. Nobody lived in the deep sections, the entrance areas. Sure, people slept there, cooked there, stayed warm there. But the paintings are almost never there. They're deep, sometimes a mile deep. Down narrow crawl spaces you'd need to squeeze through on your stomach. In Chauvet Cave, some paintings are nearly 1,600 feet from the entrance. They had to carry fire through pitch darkness, past drops and tight squeezes, just to reach a wall no one would casually stumble on. The oldest, most famous theory is beautifully simple: hunting magic. The idea goes like this: if you paint the animal, you gain power over it. Paint the bison, kill the bison. It's called sympathetic magic, the belief that an image and the real thing are connected. And there's real evidence for it. Some painted animals have gouges and puncture marks, as if real spears were thrown at the image. In the Grotte de Montespan in France, there's a clay bear sculpture full of holes, like it was speared over and over in a ritual. This theory made so much sense that for decades it was basically the default answer. A hungry society, obsessed with the hunt, using magic to guarantee survival. But then researchers actually counted what animals were painted the most, and the numbers didn't match what people were actually eating. At Lascaux, horses and deer dominate the walls, but reindeer bones dominate the trash heaps. If this was purely about hunting luck, they were painting the wrong animals. So hunting magic might be part of the answer, but it can't be the whole story. Here's where it gets strange. Some researchers think the artists weren't fully present. The theory: shamanism, ritual trance states. A shaman would go into the deepest, darkest part of the cave. Sensory deprivation, flickering torchlight, total isolation, and enter an altered state of consciousness. Some researchers point to the abstract dots, zigzags, and grid patterns found in caves worldwide. These match patterns humans report seeing during altered states, deep meditation, sensory deprivation, even migraines. The shaman believed the cave wall itself was a veil, a thin membrane between our world and the spirit world. And this theory has a genuinely eerie piece of supporting evidence. Scattered through Ice Age caves are figures that are neither fully human nor fully animal. In Germany, a 40,000-year-old ivory carving shows a man's body with a lion's head. It's called the Lion Man of Hohlenstein-Stadel. one of the oldest sculptures ever found. In France's Trois-Frères cave, there's a figure known as the Sorcerer. Antlers, owl eyes, a horse's tail, human legs, standing upright. To a shaman, this wasn't a monster. It was a self-portrait, mid-transformation. The moment a person becomes something else entirely, painted onto stone forever. Now, here's a theory that only emerged recently, and it might be the most mind-blowing one. Look past the animals for a second. Look at the dots, lines, and Y-shapes scattered near them. For decades, everyone ignored these. They seemed like meaningless scribbles. In 2023, a furniture conservator, not even a professional archaeologist, decided to actually count them. His name was Bennett Bacon. And what he found stunned professional archaeologists. The number of dots next to an animal matched the number of months in its birthing cycle. These weren't decorations. They were a calendar, tracking when animals would give birth or migrate. If that's true, this is the oldest known writing system on Earth, tens of thousands of years before Sumerian cuneiform. And it's not just the dots. The animals themselves are drawn with insane precision. The coat patterns painted on Ice Age horses actually match the genetic coat variations scientists later found in fossil horse DNA. The shaggy winter coats, the specific antler shapes at specific times of year, the exact way animals moved mid-stride. This wasn't abstract mysticism. This was close, careful, obsessive observation. These people were the world's first field biologists, thousands of generations before the word existed. Now, here's a twist that upends who you probably picture when you think cave painter. Caves are full of hand stencils. Someone pressed a hand to the wall and blew pigment around it. For a century, everyone assumed these were made by adult men. Then, in 2013, researcher Dean Snow actually measured the hand proportions. The ratio between finger lengths is different in men and women, a detail nobody had checked before. His conclusion: roughly 3 out of 4 hand stencils in the caves he studied were female. The people crawling deep into dangerous caves to make art weren't just hunters heading out to battle beasts. They very likely included women, and based on smaller handprints found alongside, children too. So maybe this wasn't only about hunting magic or spiritual visions. Maybe it was also just proof. I was here. A signature pressed onto stone meant to outlast the person who made it. Some caves show handprints from the same individual, made years apart. A person returning to the same spot again and again. Whole families, generations, leaving their mark on the exact same wall. Not a hunting ritual. A record of belonging. For a long time, Europe got all the credit for the first cave art. Then, in 2021, archaeologists dated a painting of a warty pig in a cave in Sulawesi, Indonesia, 45,500 years old. Older than almost anything found in Europe. And nearby, in another Sulawesi cave, there's something even stranger. A hunting scene. Half human, half animal figures with spears, surrounding wild pigs and buffalo, arranged like a story with a beginning and an end. Some researchers call it the oldest known narrative artwork on Earth. Not a single image, a sequence, a plot. Told entirely in pictures, on rock, tens of thousands of years before language was ever written down. So, which theory is correct? Hunting magic, shamanic trance, calendars, identity, storytelling. Here's the honest answer most archaeologists will actually give you. Probably all of them. At different times, in different caves, for different people. A hunter might have painted for luck. A shaman might have painted for vision. A mother might have painted to mark her child's hand forever. The same wall could hold all 3 reasons, layered over centuries. What connects every theory is one simple, staggering fact. Somewhere in the pitch dark, with nothing but fire and imagination, a human being decided that a wall wasn't just a wall. It could hold a memory, a god, a number, a name, a story, and it would still be there, waiting, tens of thousands of years later. Let's put the whole timeline together. 73,000 years ago, the first scratched patterns on ochre in Africa. 64,000 years ago, Neanderthals painting in Spain, before modern humans even arrived. 45,500 years ago, the oldest known animal painting, a warty pig in Indonesia. 17,000 years ago, Lascaux. Hundreds of animals deep underground in what might be humanity's first great art gallery. And somewhere in between all of it, dots that might be calendars, hands that might be signatures, and figures that might be gods. One species, one impulse. Tens of thousands of years of the same question. How do I make this moment last? So, hunting magic, trance ritual, ancient calendar, or the first signature, which one do you believe? Drop your theory in the comments. I actually want to know. Because 30,000 years from now, someone might be asking the exact same question about the things we leave behind. Every wall we've ever marked is really the same message, over and over. I was here. This mattered. Remember this. See you in the next one.